Well, hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I bring you the review of this week's chapter of the 7 Deadly Sins 172 of its name to my former friends. And this chapter was very fast-paced. Too fast-paced, in my opinion. This chapter turned out to be a completely bloodbath from the very beginning, but amidst that bloodbath, we had some pretty good informations. Not only regarding Meliodas and his training, which turned him into an even bigger beast, which is a sort of a concerning matter, but I'll get to that in a second. And also on the part of the Ten Commandments, especially Gloxinia and Dolor, which apparently they fought against the demon clan before, when they were sealed back in that huge battle that's always mentioned, that pinned all the races against the demon clan, which is pretty interesting to see the highest entities of the fairies and the giants back then to have fallen to the demon ranks. But as Meliodas said, they all had their reasons, but once they've fallen, there's no salvation to them. Now, I want to express my concernings on Meliodas' not certain, but to Meliodas' burst on power. Is he too overpowered when compared to the rest of the sins? When compared to the rest of the sins. I always say sins, I don't know why. It just comes out. To the remaining sins. We know that Escanor is pretty goddamn powerful. I mean, the guy nearly wiped out 2 more commandments on by himself, and he wiped 2 on himself. And he injured 2 of them pretty badly. But what about Ban? What about Merlin? What about Gotha? What about Diane and King? I was forgetting about them. Yes, Diane and King fought well against the golems and the flower doll. But is that enough to face a real commandment? My concern is just the following. Because I always thought of the 7 deadly sins as having a balance between the sins. Now I believe that balance has been broken, slightly, but broken. Yes, there was a scale between powers. Meliodas was always on top until Escanor appeared. Now Escanor is slightly on top Meliodas. But to compensate Meliodas, let's put Meliodas and Escanor on the same platform. A few chapters ago, before we had seen this burst of power from Meliodas, I would pin Ban almost immediately below Meliodas. Well, with a slight big difference, not a huge difference in power, but a slight difference in power. Now, that slight difference has enlarged by a good mile. And that's my concern, is that Meliodas rose too high in power for the others to follow and to keep that balance, which I thought was a vital part of the series. Now, I might be wrong, but as I said a few chapters in the last chapter, for Ban to be sweating over Meliodas' power, it's because it's not a laughing matter. Ban would not be sweating and shivering and saying these kinds of things if it wasn't a tremendous amount of power. We've all seen Ban in the past commentating on Meliodas' force and saying, yes, he's strong, but never with such a scared face. He's worried, he's tense. And that worries me because I just don't see room for them to improve, because this is a chaotic situation. It's not like they can turn to the commandments and say, wait, you wait over there, I'm gonna go there and train for a while and I come and kick your ass. It's not one of those situations. At least I don't think it is. So, are they really going to be able to hold off against the commandments? Because let's not forget, Garum kicked their asses, all of them, Meliodas included. Now I believe Meliodas would be able to defeat Garum now, maybe not. But, and Escanor just defeated Garum in like this. So, are, and if we consider, if we ping the commandments on a scale as well, if we put Garam at the bottom and his partner at the bottom as well, and then followed by Dolor and Gloxinia, the others just keep going. I mean, we have Estarossa and the other black-haired Meliodas lookalike, who are actually Meliodas' brothers, and they must be pretty gosh damn powerful. I mean, one of them actually managed to defeat the Camelot Kingdom all by himself, and that's pretty worrying. So, as again, this chapter didn't have much. It was just a bloodbath between Meliodas and the commandments. Even if Loxinia managed to heal Dolor to his full capacity, it was still not enough. An interesting fact about this chapter is that we actually get to see Gilfrost in action, and apparently he's able to teleport people. And he managed to teleport them all the way to Leonis. But, and good to know, that power has a very high toll on his, I don't want to say body, but in his resistance. He uses up a lot of magic power, I believe. But he managed to teleport them all the way to Leonis, and that's pretty far. But the most terrifying thing is that the vibrations from Meliodas' fight against the commandments go all the way to Leonis. I mean, if the shockwave alone goes to Leonis, what have the people between Visel and Leonis felt from that shockwave? That's pretty terrifying to think about, right? In my opinion. But they just keep on fighting. This chapter didn't have much. It didn't have much on its own. It was a good chapter. This crystal ball, Gilfrost using a crystal ball, I don't think it should be anything worth noting. But then again, how many people carry a crystal ball like that? And to be able to look into, I don't know from which perspective he's looking at, but he's seeing Meliodas fight. Actually, he's seeing Meliodas kick ass, because Meliodas just managed to cut through Dolor just like nothing. So yes, could I just thought of a crazy idea? Could Gilfrost have been a disciple of Merlin? Because we know that Merlin uses a crystal ball. If I'm not mistaken, her sacred treasure is a crystal ball. So could it have something to do with that? Gilfrost gives that magician vibe to him. So who knows? Maybe he was trained by Merlin a long time ago, or even in Camelot. Who knows? So yes, this was it. It's not it for this chapter yet, because I still want to mention something that I forgot to mention during this chapter, which is actually one of the most important things I've seen in this chapter. But I have to look for it, because I'm a noob at these things, and I don't prepare anything to say to you guys. But there we go. It's the reasons for Gloxinia and Dolor to have fallen into the demon ranks. Apparently, Gloxinia was betrayed by the people he trusted the most, and he lost something very, very precious to him, rather than his own life. I believe that the something he lost was actually his closest friend that he made into a doll. If you remember in King and the Ants battle, King recognized Gloxinia's doll. Sorry, he recognized it, and so I believe that's the thing that Gloxinia lost that is more precious than his life. It was a very precious friend, just like King lost Helbram, who was his most precious friend, or one of his most precious friend, his best friend from the time where he's Fairy King. I believe that the same happened with Gloxinia but that he just wasn't able to contain his rage and succumb to the demons. And as for the lore, he was a warrior who strived to be the best, but his pride was so fierce that that he actually was engulfed by it. And maybe in his lust for power, he actually joined the demons probably on his own will. Maybe Glokshini probably did too, but he had a more sentimental way to join in than Dolor. I believe Dolor embraced it far more easily than Glokshini did. And so this was the things that I wanted to point out, which were very interesting because Dolor and Glokshini weren't normal demons. They were a fairy and a giant who happened to become demons. So they were not full-fledged demons from the beginning, and that's what made them so interesting, and that's why they had these little details popping up in the chapter as to tell why they actually fell into the demon kin. So yes, that is it for me on this chapter. Again, the video came out a little bit shorter, but as you know, this chapter hasn't a lot to be talking about. It was just Meliodas' fight against Dolor and Lakshania. The next chapter promises to be very, very good, I believe, because it could actually be the end of the tournament, if which has already ended. But the next chapter will be called Darkness Descends, which I believe will be the setting up for the final battle. Well, not final, but the setting up for the next battles against the commandments. Because as the title says, darkness descends, darkness comes from demons, unless it's Meliodas that descends the darkness. Who knows? Meliodas is crazy now, so who knows what he'll do. But I believe the man has it all sorted out, and I believe that darkness will come from the demons themselves, the Ten Commandments, the commandments that remain, and that this will set up for the next battles to come. And that's it on my part on the 7 deadly sins this week. As always, share your opinions with me in the comment section down below. I am always eager to hear from you guys, so I hope you have enjoyed it. This week we still have the One Piece chapter to wait for, I believe, I hope, because apparently they are not respecting the Golden Week and are releasing the chapters to our heart's content. And thank God, because this week is going to promise on the chapters. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.